Changing of the guard of the police department after Mayor Sheng Tao fired LeRonne Armstrong as the city's police chief.
Again, this is not a disciplinary action. The chief does serve at the will of the mayor. And again, I've lost confidence in Chief LeRonne Armstrong.
Now, this all comes after a back and forth over how Armstrong handled a police misconduct case where a former OPD sergeant was accused of a hit and run and firing his service weapon inside the elevator at police headquarters. Armstrong released a statement saying, quote, "I am deeply disappointed in the mayor's decision. After the relevant facts are fully evaluated by weighing the evidence instead of pulling sound bites from strategically leaked inaccurate reports, it will be clear I was a loyal and effective reformer of the Oakland Police Department." Justin Andrews is at Oakland City Hall this morning, where a rally in support of Armstrong is just now getting underway. Justin?
Yeah, obviously the news of Armstrong's firing has a lot of people here in Oakland talking, from city leaders, even community leaders. So right now there is a rally that will be beginning any second here where they will be kind of voicing their support for former Chief LeRonne Armstrong. But there are strong opinions on both sides of this. Oakland City Council President Nikki Fortunato-Bass supports the mayor's decision, but Council Member Noel Gallo's reaction is opposite. We spoke to him about his thoughts. Listen in.
I think what the mayor did was a mistake. Firing someone for no cause is really unacceptable.
He reinstated because I did nothing wrong.
Gallo says that he's known the former chief for many years and has walked the streets of his district. He calls Armstrong an honorable man and willing to work with anybody. Gallo also told us Mayor Sheng Tao never reached out to the council that he's aware of when she was trying to make her decision. The report the mayor cited for her decision to fire Armstrong is one Gallo says he never saw until it was released to the press. The mayor fired the chief, saying she was troubled by some of the comments he made during an investigation, so she decided to fire him without cause. Former Councilmember Lauren Taylor also weighing in on this.
Looking at the report, there are 57 pages in this report. There are things that can be improved within the department, and ultimately the buck stops at the top. But when it comes to something that was a dismissible offense, I don't think that was there, and that would not be the course that I would have chosen.
This firing is yet another setback for the police department. They're already short-staffed, and obviously a lot of violent crimes happening here in Oakland. Meanwhile, the search now begins to find the next top cop here in Oakland.
Yeah,
I'll send it back to you, Liz.
And quite the search it will be. And, you know, Chief Armstrong had tremendous support from powerful people in the community of Oakland as well. So this is not the last we're going to be talking about this. All right, Justin, thanks so much.
So we want to bring in an expert on what happens with the city and its police department from here. Joining us now is Joseph Tuman, a political analyst who just retired as a Oakland Public Ethics Commissioner. So, Joe, what's your take on this, especially for a department that's just seen turnover and turnover, especially at the chief position?
Well, I'll preface this by saying that much of this really has to do with the question of who do you assign blame to in situations like this. And I think the unfortunate part of this very clearly was that young people who were trying to have the way that this kind of coding would work were warned off by that, by people who wanted to see him fail in this case. And that frankly was just inexcusably dumb as a way to do this. There were some things that needed fixing, obviously enough, but to sort of kill it the way that they did and start all over again is a waste of time and frankly a waste of money and resources as well. I will add to that the smarter way really to be dealing with these sorts of issues is not to create a larger bureaucracy for the police department to have to deal with, but to have really good officers on the ground who are working with new police officers and teaching them as they go. That's the way that this works effectively in any city, including Oakland. And we don't have that kind of reality right now because we're too busy appointing people to sit on the top of a very large tree instead of addressing closer to the ground level real problems that need to be addressed and can be addressed if you've got honest people working there.
Does the mayor's decision, the timing of it, kind of surprise you, especially so early into her administration?
Yes, it did, and it strikes me again that we have. I have nothing against her, by the way, but it's reminding me that we have people who are not fully prepared for what's going to happen here. And as I've said to you on multiple occasions, I think in other venues, there are lots of smart people involved with the police department. We unfortunately too often have this huge escalating group of people at the very top that makes it difficult to make decisions. This is something that can be made more simple, frankly, but we haven't done that so far. And as a consequence, we pay the price for this later when we don't have police officers where they should be, or perhaps sometimes being counseled or directed in ways that they need to be. This is fixable, but right now it's a little bit of a mess, I'm sorry to say.
All right. Thank you very much, Joe Tooman. I'm sure we're going to be talking about this for weeks, maybe months to come. Thank you, sir.